Have you ever felt like you're being watched? Like a big brother is constantly monitoring your every move? Well, the man who gave us that chilling concept wasn't a sci-fi writer from the distant future, but a man born at the dawn of the 20th century. His name was Eric Arthur Blair, but the world would come to know him as George Orwell. Today, we're diving deep into the life of the man who saw the future with terrifying clarity. Born in 1903 in British India, Eric Blair's early life was a tapestry of privilege and rebellion. He attended the prestigious Eton College, a place that groomed the future leaders of the British Empire. But even then, Blair felt like an outsider. He was keenly aware of the rigid class structures and the injustices they created. This early sensitivity would become the bedrock of his life's work. Instead of following the expected path to Cambridge or Oxford, he did something radical. He joined the Imperial Police in Burma. Imagine a young, idealistic Englishman dropped into the heart of colonial rule. For 5 years, he witnessed the ugly side of empire firsthand. He saw the power dynamics, the resentment, and the inherent unfairness of one group of people ruling another. He described it as seeing the dirty work of empire at close quarters. This experience filled him with a profound sense of guilt and a burning desire to expose the truth. So, he quit. He returned to Europe, not as a gentleman of leisure, but as a man determined to understand the lives of the forgotten and the oppressed. This is where Eric Blair begins to transform into George Orwell. He deliberately plunged himself into poverty. He washed dishes in the grimy kitchens of Paris, lived among the homeless or tramps in London, and journeyed north to experience the brutal conditions of coal miners in England. He wasn't just observing, he was living it. This raw, immersive journalism resulted in his first major book, Down and Out in Paris and London. He chose the pen name George Orwell to spare his family any embarrassment from his gritty subject matter. George was a quintessentially English name, and Orwell was a river he loved. The name symbolized his deep connection to England, even as he critiqued it. But Orwell's fight against injustice wasn't just confined to the page. In 1936, when civil war erupted in Spain, he didn't hesitate. He went to fight against Franco's fascist forces, believing passionately in the cause of the democratically elected republic. It was in Spain that he experienced a life-altering betrayal. He fought alongside a socialist militia that was ultimately crushed, not just by the fascists, but by their supposed communist allies who were taking orders from Stalin's Soviet Union. He witnessed firsthand how revolutionary ideals could be twisted into a brutal, totalitarian regime. He saw lies being passed off as truth and history being rewritten in real time. He was even shot in the throat by a sniper and barely escaped with his life, forced to flee Spain as a fugitive from the very side he had come to support. This harrowing experience in Spain was the crucible that forged his most famous works. It taught him a crucial lesson, that the greatest threat to freedom could come not just from the right, but also from the left. He returned to England a staunch anti-totalitarian, equally opposed to fascism and Stalinist communism. He realized that the most powerful weapon of any oppressive regime was the control of language and thought. As World War II raged, Orwell worked for the BBC, creating propaganda broadcasts. It was a deeply ironic position for a man who so despised the manipulation of truth. Yet it gave him an insider's view of how information could be shaped and controlled by the state. During this time, a powerful allegory was taking shape in his mind. He wanted to write a story that would expose the corruption of the Soviet Revolution to the common person. The result was Animal Farm. Published in 1945, Animal Farm is a brilliant, deceptively simple fable. On the surface, it's a story about farm animals who overthrow their human farmer, only to find themselves under a new, even more ruthless tyranny led by the pigs. But anyone with knowledge of history could see the parallels to the Russian Revolution, with the pig Napoleon representing Stalin. The famous line, "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others," perfectly captured the hypocrisy he had witnessed. The book was a sensation, finally giving Orwell the financial security and widespread recognition he had long sought. But his masterpiece was yet to come. Sick with tuberculosis, racing against time in a remote cottage on the Scottish island of Jura, Orwell poured all his fears and warnings into one final monumental novel. Published in 1949, just months before his death, it was titled 1984. This book was the culmination of everything he had seen and learned. It depicted a terrifying future society under the complete control of a totalitarian party, led by the enigmatic Big Brother. It gave us a new vocabulary for oppression, newspeak, the language designed to limit thought crime, the act of holding unorthodox beliefs, and the Ministry of Truth, the government body that constantly rewrites history. 1984 wasn't just a prediction, it was a warning about the dangers of surrendering our freedom for security, about the power of propaganda, and about the importance of objective truth. Orwell wrote, "In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act." He believed that the best defense against tyranny was a clear-thinking, skeptical, and informed public. George Orwell died in 1950 at the young age of 46, but his voice has only grown louder with time. His ideas are more relevant today than ever before, in our age of social media, mass surveillance, and alternative facts. He was more than just a novelist, he was a moral compass, a political conscience who dedicated his life to speaking truth to power, no matter the personal cost. He taught us to question authority, to cherish our intellectual freedom, and to always, always be wary of anyone who claims that 2 + 2 = 5. So the next time you hear the term Orwellian, remember the man behind the word. Remember Eric Blair, the policeman, the dishwasher, the soldier and the writer who dared to look into the abyss of totalitarianism and report back on what he saw, leaving us a timeless guide on how to avoid falling in ourselves. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the life of George Orwell. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives, and share your thoughts on Orwell's legacy in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.